Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space for all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Monday. We just dropped the thought piece this past Monday, so definitely be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, as it relates to this channel, our new posting schedule is we'll be posting at any point during the week, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and most definitely on a weekend day, which is going to be a Sunday. So you can hold me to that. That is going to be the new posting schedule. So with that clarity, definitely subscribe, give us some support. I am not great by way of growth strategy, but if you do like these videos, if you do find that you're engaged and the topic has been of benefit to you, then I do invite you to join our community of game changers and make change happen. Let's get into it. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And today's topic of discussion is mental wellness, and I'm going to be talking about curiosity and how curiosity is so healthy. And people will tell you differently, because sometimes satisfying your curiosity can get on other people's nerves. It can push their buttons, but don't let that be a reason why you don't satiate your curiosity. And as someone who has a background in cognitive neuroscience, so for those of you who aren't familiar, if you're just tuning in, I do work in a business setting. I do have an MBA, but my bachelor's degrees, I did a double major with honors in technical communications and cognitive neuroscience, which makes me a researcher at heart. I am someone who loves to dive deep in knowledge, and what happens is I'm constantly satiating my curiosity. I'm constantly going down these different rabbit holes that are satisfying in and of themselves. It's not necessarily looking for a specific result, it's just getting information that I can use at some point in time, and I have used at different points in time to connect the dots in a given situation, setting, or circumstance. And I find that so many of us have been our whole lives just discouraged from satiating our curiosity, and it creates its own version of learned helplessness that I definitely don't think serves us. So I think that it's really important, first of all, to recognize that questions are healthy. There is a book that I read a little while ago, I think it was from Amanda Lang, called The Power of Why. All it did for me is it validated that it's totally okay that I ask questions. I ask a lot of questions, and a lot of the times the answers of the questions are feeding more than the question in and of itself. I like to take information that I'm given and give it a 360 overview. I want to know everything as thoroughly as possible, because that's how you create an awareness of transferability. And a lot of people don't realize to what extent their own talents, gifts, skills, competencies are transferable, because they're not asking the appropriate questions. And having worked in training and development and in talent management and having done operational support, a lot of that involved me learning everyone's roles, learning how to do their roles, and then giving them a sense of transferability, like how much of what you learn in this specific setting is transferable to a different setting, and how much of what you've learned can enable you to do things very differently from what you've done right now. And a lot of people just just don't know that they have that level of agility and flexibility because they're just not asking enough questions. So I think that is really important. And while I am definitely on the extreme side of that spectrum, I ask a lot of questions, and I definitely attribute that to being homeschooled. In my foundational years, I wasn't deterred, I wasn't discouraged, I wasn't reprimanded for asking a lot of questions. So it's just not a reflex that I realized could be a pain point. In adulthood, it's just something that I do naturally. It's enabled me to build training programs from scratch. It's enabled me to build this project and this program from scratch. It's a product of the answers to 1,000,001 questions that I have asked. So I want to encourage you to do the same. And so satisfying your curiosity can definitely be more than asking questions. It can be taking the initiative to learn something new, to learn something different, to do a deep dive in a specific skill set, but to take that responsibility and accountability for your own learning and for your own development. And so I don't know if I've mentioned, I know that you probably are aware that I'm really into New Year's resolutions, but I'm also really into birth year resolutions. And with birth year resolutions, I have 3 existential goals. And so those 3 existential goals are intellectual, aesthetic, and social. And for intellectual, there's always a different topic that I like to pick based on where my interests kind of gravitate in the year prior of my birth year, because these are birth year goals. And I want to do a deeper dive. I want to give myself the reward of putting focus and energy and concentration and attaining that knowledge. And you would be surprised to what extent knowledge that I've gained just randomly, just based on the things that I'm just generally interested in, applies to the things that I do in a focused way. And so I think a lot of us don't realize to what extent we are missing out when we miss out on the opportunities to learn, on to do differently, to know differently, asking questions when we're genuinely curious to know the answer, and then making mental notes, making doggy takes, understanding, building notes. And a lot of my notes, again, they seem kind of trivial if you look at them in isolation, but they're inferences and building a bunch of connected dots that will enable me to be creative. And a lot of creativity is built on knowledge. In fact, your knowledge base can really limit or propel your capacity to be creative. And I find that so many people think knowledge is just something that you gain in an academic setting, but knowledge is something that you drive, even if it's like knowledge of plants, and that's just a random hobby of mine, but that can drive my creativity in so many different ways, just transitioning from one topic to another. And so you never realize to what extent your hobbies are driving your creativity. And I think that there's a diversification element. And so because a lot of my hobbies involve very different kinds of activities, it's creativity in different ways. Like yoga for me is creativity in motion. If I'm gardening, that's creativity in taking care of the world around me. There's just so many different ways that I tap into different aspects of myself in the way that I connect with my environment that fuel and funnel my creativity. And all of that is based on me satisfying and aiming to satisfy and continuously satisfy my curiosity. So I want to come in here and talk about that, because I find it's like people enjoy curious minds, but to an extent there's kind of like a limit to it. And so that can be very discouraging if it is the case that you're curious, but your curiosity isn't in and of itself celebrated or rewarded or encouraged. So I want to just give you sort of the heads up that you can encourage, reward, and you can incentivize yourself to learn. You're learning for your own benefit. You never know how what you know is going to help you in what you do in the future and in the world around you. Creativity and ingenuity need fuel, and a lot of that fuel comes from where it is that we allow ourselves to respond to our innate sense of curiosity. So I want to come in here and talk about that. I think that we don't talk about curiosity enough and how healthy it is to pursue the things that we're curious about. And as someone who is intrinsically a researcher at heart, working in business settings, I will tell you that a lot of innovation, transformation, and disruption stems from asking the right questions. And you're not going to know what the right questions are until you ask the wrong questions and until you ask exhaustive questions. And only from there, there's a true foundation for real, substantial, and transformational change. And so I'm big on change. I love change. And I think that we do everything we can to help ourselves be the change that the world needs to see. So that's my topic of conversation for today. Some food for thought for you. As it relates to my stalking situation, no news for you as yet, but you will be the first to know when I know. So hopefully that helps, and we'll talk to you later.